Have you ever seen a ghost, phantasm, poltergeist, apparition, a spirit? Welcome to the Paradise Paradox. The other day I interviewed my buddy Juan Galt, and at the end of the interview we started getting off track talking about Bitcoin stuff and ended up talking about ghosts and also about how it relates to atheism, if atheists are precluded from believing in ghosts. And then we talk about a few of the creepy experiences that we've had, Juan there in Prague and me in Mexico and even in Australia. So remember, you can check out Juan on Twitter, Juan S. Galt, at Juan S. Galt on Twitter. So if you have any questions about Bitcoin, how to secure them, how to get your cryptocurrency safe, you can ask him and he can consult you on that. And also remember, I have a new project, which is Cryptonomics, Principles of Cryptocurrency and Investing. And my idea is that I try to pack as much wisdom as I can into 10 minutes, trying to bridge the gap between self-knowledge and financial knowledge, because you can't really have one without the other. So check that out, please, and thank you. Check that out. Cryptonomics.space is the website. Thanks so much. Let's get into it. Cool. All right. Do you want to talk about ghosts?
Yes, okay. We shouldn't, but okay.
All right. So to give some context, you made that post the other day saying how when you're an atheist, you know that ghosts don't exist. Is that right?
Yeah, maybe we can read it. Let me find it on Facebook. The best thing about atheism by far is not believing in ghosts.
Okay.
Once your faith in godlessness wavers, the darkness can get a little spooky.
Okay. So you do have faith in godlessness.
I did for a long time. I thought that. So this is my thinking in this, right? Because I was an atheist for a really long time. My atheism stemmed from the definition of God that I was sold, which was that there's some ghost in the sky, some daddy ghost that will is looking at what you do and stuff, and if you're bad, he'll maybe punish you in the afterlife, right? And that was
so a Catholic vision, yeah.
I suppose so, yeah. Certainly a Catholic vision, actually, because I was raised Catholic, yeah. And that seems to be kind of like how people, I guess a lot of people see it. I don't know. That's how I saw it. And so my definition,
of course, all through Latin America, very, very Catholic, so that's probably a conception of God.
Yeah, and would you say that Christians have a similar perspective, or is it different?
Well, it depends on the denomination. You know, recently I've been attending a Quaker meeting a couple times, and they don't have any hard answers. So you could go in there, you might not even be a Christian, and they'll accept you just the same. You might be an atheist, and they'll say, okay, cool, and, sit with us. And you just sit there and meditate for an hour. And if somebody feels like speaking, and they'll speak. And if they don't, you might just sit there in silence. It's an interesting practice.
Nice. That sounds nice. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess, some Christians, I'd say, probably don't really believe in hell or don't believe in divine punishment.
Okay. But they believe in some sort of kind of meta consciousness, I guess, or the conscience, anyways. Yeah, which is fine. I believe in the conscience. I think that's arguable from a psychology perspective.
Conscience? You mean a conscience in your head, like what tells you what's good and bad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's that. I mean, that's a key thing, and our morality as humans in terms of a ghost or a universal spirit, I guess.
So this is actually like a Stefan Molyneux definition. So,
right.
His argumentation was that every definition of God that he's ever heard is that there's some ghost in the sky, and some consciousness outside of the individual, some conscious entity outside of the individual, and that's impossible because of physics and because you need a brain in order to have consciousness, and et cetera, et cetera. So you can't have consciousness without matter. You need to have matter, and not just matter, but you have to have a complex arrangement of matter, right?
Right. But this is a very materialist perspective. Like, it's assuming that matter is all that is. Matter and energy, other forms of energy that we can detect. Material.
Yeah, I mean, I think energies matter in movement.
Yeah. So,
but
that's the assumption, basically, that all kinds of material and all kinds of energy, the ones that we know exist, are the only ones that exist. That's the key assumption, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. I think. I mean, I don't really accept that argument against sort of God anymore. But but I would say that I don't believe that it's possible for A and B for A to be A and B at the same time. And this goes back to my objectivist roots. Anybody that's like A cannot be A and B at the same time. You can't have two contradictory definitions in the same universe. One of them is false. One or both of them are false. You can't have the juggernaut and the unmovable object in the same universe. They're contradictory entities. And so that's the reality of the universe. You have to, things have to be logically consistent for them to exist in the same universe. The moment that you break internal logical consistency, then you have two universes and they're separate from each other and don't talk to each other, and so it doesn't matter. You're still within one or the other.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you make that post because you actually saw something or felt something in the darkness?
Yeah, I mean, I made it because I've been feeling like because I started questioning this stuff and I started thinking, well,
right.
The reality is I don't understand most of the things in the world, and so there's just sort of like I can't rationalize some spooky ghost, but it's something like I'm in these ancient houses in beautiful Prague, right? And it's like, get home.
So what did you see?
And
what was your experience?
Nothing. It's just like I opened the door and then suddenly, you know what it was for that specific post? Because it's happened a few times recently. But I got home and then I opened the door and I was trying to get my key out of the door and I couldn't get the key out of the door. And it's usually hard to get the key out of the door. And so I'm trying, and then suddenly the kitchen door just goes, go, and I'm like, fuck. Right? I hear a noise and then I stop and I'm like, what? And it's so super dark, right? Okay, I keep going and then the door just closes, right? And my rational brain is, well, that's the wind because I opened the door and so there's wind pressure and probably moved it around the room and closed the door.
Yeah.
Sure, fair enough. But still, oh, fuck. It's still scary, right? I'm still half expecting something to go whoa.
Right. Yeah, like an old hag or something.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually had a lot of experiences with ghosts. And from these experiences, it would be very hard for me to say ghosts don't exist. I don't know what they are. I don't claim to know what they are. But I know something is going on. So, when I first moved to Mexico, it was about 4 years ago, I was living in this share house, and I started to have these really creepy dreams, and it was bizarre because there was a point in the dream where it stopped just being my dream. It was like something had entered the dream. This very skin crawly feeling within the dream.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and I had this weird dream. The short version is I was looking at a picture on the wall, and my friend was pointing at it and saying, "Oh, you look so handsome in this photo." But the photo wasn't of me. It was of a doll, and the doll's face started melting. And it was,
oh my God.
At that moment, I woke up, and my body was completely covered in goosebumps. Completely covered.
Goosebumps, man.
Yeah. And then the weird thing was I would get up and stand in certain places in the room. Is this getting too much? You're gonna
no, go for it. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Go on.
Good. So at certain places in the room, I would have no goosebumps. Other spots in the room, I would have goosebumps, even to a point where I could stand in one spot and have goosebumps down the entire left side of my body and no goosebumps on the right side of my body. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I bought some sage and burned some sage. And the last thing that happened in that house, I had another one of those dreams where this guy was like pursuing me and like banging on my door and making threats. I woke up and I burned the sage to try to clear the room. There was this young Brazilian lady in the guest room upstairs. And I didn't know this, but around that time of night, around 3 a.m., she ran down and went to sleep in my housemate's room. And in the morning, we're eating breakfast and they say, "Oh, what, Marjorie, why did you run down and sleep in Manuel's room in the middle of the night?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't know, I saw something." And we're like, "What, a bee?" A bug? And she's like, being really vague. And I said, "I know what it is. There was a ghost in your room, right?" And she told us she was in sleep paralysis and there was this black shadow in the corner of the room.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. At first she thought it was Manuel. Every time she looked, it got closer and closer till it was right next to her in bed.
What?
And it's
the fuck?
Right. And it said to her, "Oh, it's so good that you're in this state, like half asleep, because I can talk to you." And she was like, "What the fuck?" And she snapped out of sleep paralysis and ran down.
Oh, no. What in the fuck?
Yeah. So that's,
oh my God.
That's one of the crazy things. And
that's some scary shit, dude.
Yes. And then,
but that's the funny thing about ghosts too. Is like, okay, so realistically, if you were a ghost, that's probably what you want to do. You just want to talk to somebody,
right?
You just want to tell somebody a story that wasn't told, type of thing,
Yeah.
Like maybe you want to, who knows, right? But
yeah, well, depending on what their motivations are. But I remember I had another experience in Australia.
That fucking ghost stories. Just keep looking over my back like.
It's still daylight. You're probably okay. But I had this creature in my room, or I like made out this figure in the darkness, like a big demon with horns or something. I'm like, "Oh, hey, bro, how's it going?" And he's like, "Good to see you. You invited me here, don't you remember?" Who knows?
You saw this.
I saw something. I could make out some kind of figure in the darkness.
And you could hear the voice?
Not with my ears, but like in my mind.
In your head.
Yeah. So
wow.
I started meditating and wishing it well and saying mantras and stuff. And
nice.
And I started that was a weird experience, because as I was chanting the mantra in my mind, I saw these figures come out and float up into the room, and it looked like a mandala or a fractal spreading across the room in the darkness. Anyway, then a few weeks later, that same creature came back and is like, "Hey, thanks, man. Like this is my conception or what I gathered from it. It was like this spirit had been living as a force of evil for thousands of years, and nobody had ever thought to just be cool with it, like just to welcome it. And when I did that, it gave him this whole different perspective. Anyway, I don't know if this is, within my head or if it's, it's like a hypnopompic experience or something like that, like a dream before you fall asleep. I can't say that these things have any independent reality, but I do know that they happen. And sometimes they can be interesting and meaningful, like I was saying to you, just like with dreams.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the bottom line. Like it doesn't matter whether the thing is outside of us or inside of us, because in a sense, like our perception is deeper than the material outside of us. Like we have this amygdala, and this amygdala is actually kind of like an eye, but it's an eye that doesn't receive light from the outside. It gets stimulation from the brain, and so it simulates vision inside of our brains, and our brain is reacting to a bunch of stuff, right? And it's co-creating with a bunch of stuff in the world. So if you see something, whether it's in your head or outside, it exists nonetheless, because we are made of the world. We are part of the world. We are, the structure of the world is within us. We are a fruit of the structure of the world. So, and so, whether like the fact that we might think of it as a ghost is a way for us to understand a complex process. Maybe this demon was some sort of kind of revenge story, or some sort of attitude that has run through your family or through your culture, or or mimetically was communicated to you in Mexico or whatever, or wherever you were at.
Yeah.
And you addressed it you updated your system, in a sense. You addressed this intent through these rituals, these ancient rituals that are meant to be a way for you to update these energies, and you resolved it, right? And like that's that, right? And it doesn't make it any less true. It's just true at a different layer. But
yes.
So that's how I rationalize it. It's still scary and spooky though. So,
yeah. Well, this is the weird thing too. Like, I've had plenty of spooky experiences, but when it's like when I'm in poor spirits, I will see these spirits in a negative way. But sometimes they come in a positive way. Sometimes they offer me advice. So it's kind of like, there's a talk on TED where this woman was diagnosed as schizophrenic, and she would hear these voices, and at certain points in her life, they would be really negative or discouraging, or they'd try to curse her or tell her that horrible things are going to happen. But at other times, there would be like little guides, and she would have to decode the message, not take it literally.
Yeah, that's a great point. So if there are ghosts, then there must also be angels, so to speak.
Right.
And so if there's a ghost, you just call on your angel, and you can hopefully bring a resolution to the conflict or whatever.
Yeah. So
thanks, man. Good talk.
Yeah, good. So
it's going to be a great podcast.
Yeah. I wanted to thank you as well, because for that song, for the song that we kind of made together, that you gave me the ideas and that I was making for your movie.
Just for context, so I made a documentary called Anarchapulco Settlers, which was about sort of the people that moved to Acapulco. And when I was creating it, I thought, man, it'd be great to have a really good song at the beginning. And so I reached out to you, and then I told you kind of what I had in mind, and then you created this incredible song, which ended up being kind of like the intro to or it was somewhere in the documentary. I just kind of put it in there.
And then they used it for the promo material for an Acapulco as well, and
that's right.
And then I performed that year, and the next year as well.
Wow.
And I had been trying to write something for a few weeks, and nothing was really coming together. But when you planted a few extra ideas in my mind about Galt's Gulch and Ayn Rand and stuff, that's it started to come together really well. So I was thinking about it before, and it's really funny how you can do little things, or just plant some seeds of ideas sometimes, and you never know what great things are going to come from it. So thank you.
You're welcome, man. I'm so happy that it worked out well, and you're a great rapper, and I see you've been singing and you're doing musical things a lot, so that's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I've been working on some music. You can't see, but over here there's a couple of turntables. My buddy here is a DJ, so we've been jamming, and because I can't legally come to Acapulco next year, I figure we'll record a set and put it up a couple weeks before the conference, and that way we can send out a beautiful message for the people attending.
So you got straight up banned from Mexico.
Yeah, 2-year prohibition.
Shit,
Just 2 years. So next year, in the end of June, I'll probably be back.
Yeah, that's not too bad. 2 years is not too bad.
Yeah. I applied for re-entry and they were like, no, you
Nah.
overstayed too long. You don't have a good enough reason. I thought they would be like, yeah, whatever. Let this gringo back in.
Yeah. That's really funny.
Thanks so much, Juan, and have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, man. It was a great chat. Great call. Yeah, bye.
Thank you for listening to the Paradise Paradox. Remember, you can check out Juan on Twitter at Juan S. Galt. And remember, please, to check out my new channel, Cryptonomics, Principles of Cryptocurrency and Investing, so keep yourself informed and learn the mental preparation that you need to become an efficient investor. So check that out. Cryptonomics.space is the website, and you can see the links on there to Facebook, YouTube, other social media sites. Thanks for listening. Have a great day and take care of yourself.